Okay, we're ready to go. Good evening, folks. Certainly want to welcome all of you to the Vinton Town Council meeting for this Tuesday, June 18th, 2024 already. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles.
Here.
Councilmember McCarty. Councilmember Mullins. Vice Mayor Stovall.
Here.
Mayor Gross.
Here. Thank you. We do have a quorum. We have a couple of folks absent tonight. They had some previous engagements, so we will miss them tonight, but we do have a quorum. Along with the roll call, I'd like to read our guidelines for citizens' participation, and these are available at the table, by the way, if you want to look at them. Any citizen desiring to present any matters of concern before Town Council may be heard under the Citizens' Comments and Petitions item of the agenda. During this item of the agenda, the mayor will recognize any citizens wishing to address council concerning any items that are not already listed on the agenda. Any citizen desiring to make comments during an advertised public hearing or public comment period may be heard during the item on the agenda. During this item of the agenda, the mayor will recognize any citizens wishing to address council concerning that particular item on the agenda. When addressing council, citizens shall give their name, address, and subject matter, and shall state if representing a firm, group, or corporation. We would ask that each speaker try to limit their time to 3 minutes. If there are a number of individuals wishing to address council on a particular item, the 3-minute limit will be enforced through the use of an electronic timer, as you see up here. Individuals appearing before council will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, engage in personal attacks, debate among the audience, use profanity or abusive language, or bring any animals into the council chambers. Public hearings will be advertised in accordance with the provisions of the Code of Virginia and are normally held during the regular meetings at 6 p.m. Vinton Town Council may from time to time schedule special meetings or alter meetings, meeting times with prior notification to the media pursuant to state law. All right, and with that, we'll move on to our moment of silence. We use moment of silence here in the town of Vinton so that everyone can pray or meditate as they see fit. During that time, if you pray, and I hope you will, I certainly plan to, I would ask you to keep keep this country, this community, and this council meeting in your thoughts and prayers. And also, while we're standing, we'll ask, as per usual, Councilmember Lyles to have the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand for those items, please.
Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very often, Councilman Lyles will get children, if they're in the audience, to say the pledge. Mandy, your children are growing pretty quick, so maybe pretty soon they can, it won't be long, right? Time flies. With that, we'll move on to the community events and announcements. Mr. Lyles, I think you have that one too, right?
I do. June 18th, the Vinton Area Chamber of Commerce will be at the 2024 Regional Networking Event at the Salem Municipal Ballpark from 11 to 2. June 19th or Juneteenth, the town offices will be closed. June 22nd, the Vinton Area Chamber of Commerce Mingle at the Market with the 80s Band will be at the Farmers Market from 7 to 10 p.m. And then July 4th, the 4 on the 4th race in the morning at 8, and at the War Memorial, the fireworks and program begins at 6, and the fireworks begin at 9:30. We also encourage folks to visit one of our many restaurants and entertainment venues in our community, such as Rosie's, Lancerlot, Twin Creeks, Benton Bowling Alley, Defy Gravity, etc. For more information, each one of these venues can be found on their website or social media. And for more information on everything happening in Benton, please visit the In Benton Facebook page, and don't forget to like and share it.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right, Vice Mayor, I think you have a list of a few council activities, don't you?
I do, Mr. Mayor. First off, Councilmember McCarty and Councilmember Mullins attended the Breast Cancer Walk Committee meeting. Mayor Gross and Vice Mayor Stovall attended the Small Towns Conference with Town Manager Peters and Deputy Town Manager Sexton in Abington, Virginia. Council members Lyles and Councilmember McCarty attended the Community Development meeting, and Vice Mayor Stovall attended the Chamber after hours.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, next item is request to postpone or change the order of the agenda. Staff or no one? Okay. All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda tonight that contains a few items. First of all, the minutes of our regular meeting of June 4th, 2024. It also has some routine resolutions, two of them, which both of them are for maintenance and repair of equipment. Are there any changes or additions to the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Also move. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Among this big crowd, I guess you got which ones. Yeah. So, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right. And now the fun part of the meeting, the part I enjoy most, the awards and introductions. Chief Drummond, I think you must be ready. All right. You're always ready, right?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, town staff, members of VPD, family, and of course, community. I have the opportunity today to highlight some exceptional employees that have done exceptional things, and best of the best at Vinton PD, so we get to capture that a little bit with you all. So it's wonderful to be able to share. The first person I'd like to talk about is Sergeant Jeremy Shrewsbury, so I'll call him up here to have him come sit next to me. Stand next to me. The first award we're going to talk about is the DUI Enforcement Award. And hopefully what I capture when I read this is give you some validation as far as the impact and importance as far as how traffic safety compares to what we do out here for DUI impairment. Every day, almost 40 people in the United States die in drunk driving crashes. That's one person every 39 minutes. In 2022, 13,524 people died in alcohol-impaired driving traffic deaths. Over the last decade, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimates that 250,000 people or persons will be killed in an alcohol-related motor vehicle crash over the past decade. Driving after drinking is deadly, yet it continues to happen across the United States. Approximately 1 million arrests are made annually, nationally, for driving under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Approximately 1/3 of all traffic crashes that involve fatalities in the United States involved impaired driving. According to the CDC, the Center of Disease and Control, on average, a drunk driver or impaired driver will drive 80 times under the influence before their first arrest. As you've probably noticed, through tough enforcement of our drunk driving laws is a major contributor to reducing unnecessary and preventable deaths. As law enforcement, one of the main goals of drunk driving enforcement is to raise perception amongst drivers that if they choose to drive drunk, they will be stopped, investigated, and arrested. And Sergeant Shrewsbury leads our department in the apprehension, of course, detection and apprehension of DUIs within the town itself. So congratulations to you, Sergeant Jeremy Shrewsbury.
Jeremy, appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. At all the ring.
Hey, Chief.
Congratulations again. Yes, sir. Sergeant Shrewsbury.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it appears that gym that y'all put in up there is working out really well.
We know.
Yeah. Yeah, you go real often. Yeah.
It's like Shrewsbury's visited a few times.
I think he's been there, yeah.
I thought you were referencing me.
I know, he was.
Next person I'd like to call is Sergeant Brandon Alterio. No stranger to you all, of course.
No.
Yeah. This year, Sergeant Brandon Altieri was the recipient of the 2023 Leadership Award, which he won in 22 as well. So tough to unseat. In law enforcement profession, each law enforcement agency sets its sights on unified objectives, creating safe communities, building partnerships, and preserving the rule of law. The role of law enforcement officer can already be difficult, but can quickly become amplified during troubled times. During difficult times, officers are the people that are counted upon to step up for the community in need and to be a guiding principle in civility. Without law enforcement and the rule of law, there would be chaos, victimization, and disorder would rule over human decency. Law enforcement provides a necessary system of checks and balances to our society, while the effective law enforcement leader molds the character and instills the morality in these officers that are needed to effectively handle this responsibility. Being a leader is the ability to constantly consume and adapt to the evolving nature in both their professional and personal lives. Being a police leader requires a lifelong journey of being a constant learner, a constant listener, and a person who is willing to sacrifice for the better of another. Leaders are effective because of how they approach their work and how they value their team. The leader's attitude can reflect their vision and their work ethic as it directly correlates to how they choose to live their lives. By virtue, leadership is a choice, the conscious choice to influence the people whether in their care or not, and the paradox of an effective leader is that they become effective because they make others better than themselves. In law enforcement, we are drawn by a select few officers who travel the hard road, exhibit a high esprit de corps, captivate us, and have the natural tendency to show care and worth to others. In simplistic terms, leaders are exceptional humans that develop a lifestyle of giving and dedicate their service to the lofty visions of aspiring others to achieve great things. So I present to you the 2023 Leadership Award to Sergeant Brandon Alterio. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Come on, my mailbox.
Absolutely. Congrats. Smack. My bad. That's true. Others had my head. Waited. Thank you. We'll Photoshop Brandon. We'll fix him up. Next up is the Life Saving Award, and we have two of these where we'll be recognizing. The first officer I'll call is Officer Andrew Hagee. On Sunday, May 5th, 2024, Officer Hagee responded to a private residence in the town of Vinton regarding a well-being check on a resident. The caller expressed concern regarding the resident making suicidal statements and putting a gun to their own head. Officer Hagee arrived nearby and tactically parked his car at a safe distance. Upon Officer Hagee's approach to the residence, he noticed a male sitting on the front porch. As a result of poor lighting, Officer Hagee utilized his flashlight to illuminate the porch, and upon doing so, Officer Hagee noticed the person was holding a gun with his hand. In response, Officer Hagee rapidly unholstered his service weapon and strategically took cover behind a parked SUV. Without delay, Officer Hagee instructed Sergeant Furchell, the backup officer, to use the patrol vehicle spotlight and illuminate the scene. Officer Hagee then began negotiating techniques with the subject, and through extended communication efforts, Officer Hagee achieved success in getting the subject to place the firearm on the floor. Officer Hagee attempted to get the subject to walk to him, but ultimately he refused and picked up the weapon again. At one point, the subject began to lift the weapon towards the direction of officers. Officer Hagee, with his service weapon drawn, urged the subject while also depressing his own trigger. The subject lowered his weapon while the officers kept giving commands. The subject started waving the firearm and eventually pointed it at the officers who were still in a position of cover. Finally, the subject put the firearm down and briefly entered the residence. Officer Hagee tactically approached the residence and safely retrieved the unsecured firearm, de-escalating the situation. When the subject returned outside, Officer Hagee, now back in the tactical position, was able to give the subject commands and take into custody. There was a struggle during the attempt to apprehend the individual, but officers were able to safely secure the scene and transport the subject for treatment. The actions illustrated by Officer Hagee are beyond exemplary. They are remarkable traits of a compassionate officer who was presented with life-changing circumstances, both for him and the individual. And in a challenging and intense circumstance, Officer Hagee displayed both decisiveness and empathy towards a person on the brink of ending their own life. A truly remarkable resolution to a deadly situation. Congratulations to you, Mr. Hagee.
Congratulations, Eddie. Thank you. Okay, so that'll be enough. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I looked right at you.
Fix your hair?
One more picture. This is the fiance, everyone. This is Miss Chelsea. Next up, we'll be recognizing another life-saving award, and I ask Officer Daniel Valadares to come up. Not too close, though. Too tall. On December 13th, 2023, Officer Valadares responded to an unresponsive subject inside of a local business. The service call indicated that a male subject appeared to have tripped and fell and was now reported as unconscious and not breathing. Medical units along with additional first responders were also responding. Officer Valadares was the first officer on scene and without hesitation assessed the male subject. Officer Valadares determined the male subject did not have a pulse and quickly began cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Officer Valadares continued providing life-saving measures until emergency medical service and firefighter arrived on scene to take over. There is no question that Officer Valadares' quick response and reaction to the situation was critical to the male. Officer Valadares relied on his training and will to succeed. We all know life is so delicate and life-changing. Events can occur without notice and warning. What we can confirm is that on that day, Officer Valadares gave a person another chance at life. Congratulations. We have one more. And this year, voted by his peers, the Officer of the Year is Officer Daniel Valadares.
All right.
So like I mentioned, the officers vote amongst themselves as far as who's doing the exemplary work. And this year we've recognized Officer Daniel Valadares. The awards that you receive in your career commemorate achievements and are a direct indignation in memorializing your contributions to the community in which you serve. Awards such as Officer of the Year are a recognition of an individual's sacrifice and passion to create a safe place for all to live. As the precursors for the award nominations indicate, the officer demonstrates a distinct pattern of community service coupled by professional development. It is natural over the span of a career in public service to question whether you've made a difference or made an impact. And without a doubt, the simplest actions taken by an individual in uniform have a profound impact on a victim of a crime and the community it surrounds. There is no metric that can measure the person's passion and the indignation to make an impact. It is simply a manifestation of a person's divine love and care for humanity as a community caretaker. This year, we highlight one individual for high esteem, spirit de corps, and the dedication of their own time for the better of humanity. The fabric of law enforcement and the notion of the rule of law depends on the actions and the core value of each individual in uniform. The law enforcement profession is in need and will always be needed. It is a pillar of camaraderie, human shared values, and the love of a nation and community. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, congratulations. Yes, sir.
Hold this one. Were you holding these up when you took it?
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you all again for the opportunity to come up here and recognize some incredible achievements. I'm very blessed to serve as the chief of police among some great folks, and it is a pleasure to be up here. So thank you all, and congratulations to the 2023 winners, along with their families, because sacrifice always involves in that. And thank you for the community for being here and being able to listen to it. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. One more round of applause for these folks. Council members, I'll give you a chance in just a second. I just want to briefly say thank you for the ceremony this morning, this afternoon, Chief. But we just want to thank our entire department for the work they do every day to keep us safe. We certainly have a quiet and safe town, but we know there's a lot of things that go on that maybe aren't so quiet, and you folks always take care of that. We're very proud of our fully accredited department. As we heard tonight, they often change lives and save lives, and they just... When you say Vinton's Finest, there's no doubt who you're talking about. It's certainly Vinton's Finest. So thank you guys, all of you guys. We appreciate you very much. And ladies too, by the way. Mandy's back, so we got to stay in shape here. So, sir, I know you're a full.
Yes, sir. You know, it's nice and it's comforting to know that when you go out in the community, been out the last couple months or so helping get signatures for some of the candidates, and to listen to them. Once they found out, I of course was on town council and talked to them about how they feel safe in the town. And of course, where we get accolades for that, it's each and every one of you. And as you very well know, as a former police officer in Benton, I think you have a great department. I always said when I was with the department, we had the best, but I also think y'all have us beat now for the department that you have. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think you took the words out of my mouth, and I've always commend our police department, and we do have the best police department. We've come a long way, and we are a very safe community because of that.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for everything that you guys do. I'm glad that you do these every year.
Thank you, sir. Thanks again, folks. We appreciate you so much. Next item is citizens' comments and petitions. We do have some citizens, I think, that have signed up to make comments tonight. And I'm so glad that you are here for a lot of reasons. Certainly glad that you got to see the awards for our police department. And as they exit, that's something I might mention. after you make your comments, you're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the business session, but we're not offended if you leave, because it is business, so we understand. I'd like to make one brief statement, please. I suspect that you are here to discuss the recent property acquisition on 3rd Street by an organization that has listed its business as Women's Health Care. It has been rumored that abortions will be performed at this location. The town of Benton did not recruit this business, and we were not aware of the possible intention to perform abortions at this site until very recently. Personally, I oppose abortion. However, I am not aware of anything that can be done by this council to stop this business from proceeding with its plans at this proposed location. Offices and medical clinics are permitted as a matter of right in this zoning district. Given the recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling, abortion has become an issue of state law, and abortion remains legal in Virginia, while some of our neighboring states have taken steps to restrict abortion, which has made locations in Virginia attractive to the facilities such as this. That's made locations in Virginia very attractive to locations such as this. And with that, we will give each of you an opportunity to speak. And if you would please, as I mentioned earlier, keep it to 3 minutes. We would certainly appreciate that. And I think you have the list, right?
First person I have is Katie Notebear.
Good evening. My name is Katie Notebear. I live at 600 Olney Road in Benton, Virginia for the past 6 years. And what else am I supposed to tell you? Oh, I don't belong to anybody really. I'm kind of just a relatively new person here in Benton. We moved here about 6 years ago because we had spent 12 years in Radford and we were commuting to Roanoke Catholic School every day where I taught theology and my kids went. Thank you so much for having this award ceremony beforehand. I was absolutely terrified. And then I got thinking, go and speak in front of some really wonderful people or go up on a porch and try to get a gun from somebody that's mentally ill. And I'm not afraid anymore. It seems a lot easier. And I understand what a pickle you guys are in. It's a huge pickle. And tonight I just wanted to let you know some of the ramifications that happen when an abortion clinic moves into a small town. Benton was targeted on purpose. In 2017, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the FBI actually listed the 81 corridor and the surrounding heavier streets as a human trafficking task force. They actually applied it to 81 for sex trafficking. So sex trafficking is huge in Virginia. It is huge in Roanoke, mainly because we have a great stream of fentanyl coming in to Roanoke, and it's warm, and teens, as they run away, have a tendency to run to warmer climates. And so they're picked up here. So what happens to them? A lot of girls get into a point where they can't get out. And with sex trafficking having up to as many as 50 partners a day forced on them, automatically become pregnant. And just here in the state of Roanoke alone, we had testimony from 66 different girls that were forced into sex trafficking, and they had 114 abortions between the 66 of them. And Planned Parenthood's taking a lot of heat right now for condoning and aiding and abetting sex trafficking. So what are the sex traffickers looking for? They're looking for quiet towns where they can privately pay cash to come in and force children to have abortions. But what does this look like for our community? You know, we prayed tonight, and we said the Pledge of the United States to have life in pursuit of happiness for everyone. And that means everyone, no matter where your location is on the planet, no matter your size or your level of development. And I know you guys feel this. It was wonderful talking to you beforehand. It was wonderful hearing where you come from. This is a beautiful town. We could have chosen anywhere, but we chose Vinton.
Time's up, ma'am. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
So please keep Vinton as beautiful as it is now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next person I have is Ann Russell.
Maybe got mine too.
Good evening, Ann.
Hi, I'm Ann Thurston Russell. I live at 342 Stonebridge Drive. Lived in Vinton my entire life, an 88 Williamsburg graduate, right, Keith?
That's right.
I am here to talk about this clinic. I am representing Blue Ridge Women's Center. I'm the president and CEO of Blue Ridge Women's Center, which is the life-affirming pregnancy resource center that serves the Allegheny Health District and beyond. I am also here as the vice president of the State of Virginia Pregnancy Center Coalition, which represents over 30 pregnancy centers in the state. This is concerning for a lot of reasons. Roanoke is now a destination city for abortion. We are seeing people coming from as far as Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Kentucky for abortion services. And that's concerning. And so for us at Blue Ridge Women's Center, we are trying to pull in people so that they can hear about all of their options. And everything we do is free of charge. There is no agenda. There is no money to make off of these women when they come in to try to determine what the best options are for them. No forcing of anything. I want to thank you so much for making your statement in the beginning. I've been talking with the Family Foundation of Virginia, with Matt Hall from the Attorney General's office, and all hope may not be lost. They are actually looking at options and are willing to work not only with us, but with many localities, just as they did in Bristol and in Washington County, to create ordinances that can keep this from happening. Pete Peters has agreed to meet with me, and I thank you so much for that. One thing you're never going to hear from me or any of my staff is saying anything negative about a woman who has had an abortion, about abortion workers. None of that.
Thank you.
You're not going to hear that, because we know that 1 in 4 women who sit in a church pew on Sunday mornings have experienced an abortion, and it's not the unforgivable sin. And we want them to know that there is hope and healing for them, but we also want women to know that that is not their only choice, that they do have other choices. In temporary circumstances, you should not make a permanent decision on temporary circumstances. So I want to thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate the fact that you guys have been so open and honest with everyone, and that this flew in under your radar. You had no idea. And Blue Ridge Women's Center has kept all of you in prayer, and we've been praying for you too, brother. So just know that we will continue to pray for all of you.
Thank you.
Next person is Phil Bushy. You said it right. I asked him.
Can you say her name?
I did.
Actually can. He did a really good job.
Ooh.
¿Cómo estás?
My name is Philip C. Bushy III. I go by Phil. I am at 183 Sanderson Ridge Court. It's listed as Roanoke, but it's actually Botetourt County, 24019-1208. Mayor, board, thank you for this opportunity. I represent just one of many members of a organization called Love Life. That's one word, lovelife.org. We were founded in 2016. We came to Roanoke under a young lady who was here with us tonight in 2021. I serve right now as a sidewalk counselor. Every Monday morning for the last 3.5 years, you can see me in front of the Planned Parenthood on Peters Creek Road. But we also have teams that come, and some of them are here tonight, to 2nd Street downtown. With all of that said, our purpose at Love Life is simply to unite the churches, to come together and be a presence in front of the abortion clinics, if I can use that term, to help stop abortion. We reach out in love. We reach out with the Lord's word. That's all we do. And in doing this, we also hope that it will change a culture that's been going on now for 52 years. So you have at least 3 generations who do not know that they could be approaching their pastor or their congregation instead of places like Planned Parenthood. In doing that and changing the culture, we can also help to bring an end to the orphan crisis. That's what we do. In terms of this new clinic that could be coming to Vinton, we were just tickled tonight to see the wonderful officers and chiefs presentations tonight, because we do plan to be on the street the first day that this clinic opens. And we just let you know who we are. I don't know if it's done, but I have our main piece of information here that we can submit to the record. And just to let you know that we are here to ultimately save souls. That's what we do. We, just like Ann just mentioned, we do not sit in judgment. You know, for all have come up short. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know how to reset it yet. I'm still learning.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna wait till it just beeps. I apologize. Okay. Barry Witt.
Again, I want to say thank you to each one of you. Appreciate you so much. Officers, thank y'all for all that you do.
Barry, your name and address, please.
Barry Witt, 3041 Woodway Road, Roanoke, Virginia. About 17 years, I guess. I know you've been deceived. So it tells us right from the beginning that this thing is not going to go well at all as it goes down the road. But I'm asking each of you, and I appreciate each of you in responding, but I am asking each of you to have the courage to fix it, to stop the abortion clinic. We trust you. We trust you to lead, and it's these times like this that you got to lead. You know, leadership is tough. Leadership is hard. But please lead. You follow what is right. There's several things that it seems like to me that the town of Vinton is becoming an extension of Roanoke City values. And that's not good. That's not good. I thank you again. I appreciate you. God bless you. I'd like to pray for you if you allow me. Precious Lord God, I do lift up these people here, Lord. God, you just be with them. Help them, Lord. Help them to do the right thing, and God, protect them, Lord, and just fill them. Take care of their families, Lord. Bless them, God. Touch them in a mighty way, Lord. Let them know the churches around here love them and appreciate them and everything they do. And we understand it's not easy. And we're praying for them, God. But Lord, they've been deceived. Fix it. Help them to fix it. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Figured it out. All right.
We don't get a chance to use this very often.
Sorry.
That's right.
Jack Hooden.
I'm Jack Hooten. I live in the Mount Pleasant area. It's 3822 Bandy Road in Roanoke. Been there at that Bandy Road since 1997. But I'm here independently, but I'm pro-life also. And I can't beat their speeches, but I'm with them 100%. And I already feel your concern, and thank you for taking her as an appointment and staying the fight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
I don't have any more people on the list, but if anyone else wants to speak, just let me know and I can write down your information.
Okay. Yeah, as she mentioned, there's no one else on the list, so anyone else want to speak? Phil? I suppose so. We got a few minutes.
I just wanted to mention something that Ian touched on. The real parameters of this. I see and have seen several things that Planned Parenthood over the last 3.5 years. Number one, July 1st of last year in North Carolina, rolls back their abortions from 26 weeks to 12 weeks. Dr. Zerden, who was the chief of the clinic, the Planned Parenthood clinic in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, came to Roanoke. He's a very skilled surgeon, because we're talking about 26-week abortions. He's now in Roanoke. Consequently, you have to understand that right now we went 15 weeks, 20 weeks, and it's being proposed right now in the state of Virginia, this is our state, to go to 24 weeks. Abortion is big business. If you're coming for a late-term abortion, you're going to need a hotel room, you're going to need a restaurant, you're going to need all the various things we have. This is why you're seeing this thing pop up all of a sudden. We haven't even reached July 1st yet. We're going to the anniversary. Number two, I have seen, I can't verify, but I have seen what we thought, Jenny and I, as human trafficking at the Planned Parenthood. When you see a van come in twice with a driver and 3 or 4 girls get out and go in, and 2 hours later, it repeats only with different girls this time. That's a very odd thing to see, but we saw it. The parameters, the coordinates are Texas to Pennsylvania, Florida, because of what Governor DeSantis did just about 3 weeks ago, Florida to Maryland. That is what's coming. Again, we don't stand in judgment. We just try to preach, the Lord, to these people. But there's a difference out there. On our prayer walks, we have prayer walks every Saturday morning for 40 consecutive weeks, rain or snow or heat. And we tell our people then in attendance, not the least of which was just last week, Pastor Barry here, that there's at least 40 abortions in Roanoke City a week. Gentlemen, that isn't even close, because on Thursdays and Fridays, just at Planned Parenthood, let alone some other people can tell you about 2nd Street downtown, there will be 20 clients there on surgical days. Surgical days, just during the 3 hours that we're there, not the other 5 hours that we're not there. And this does not count any of the abortion pills, the 2 abortion pills that go out the door. It's just something to consider. Because, on Fox News the other night, they report that in 2023, the abortion pill accounted for 2/3 of the abortions in the United States. We don't have access to those figures. This is just what we say. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Phil.
For you,
Very briefly, please.
okay, if you take a ride up through the town and in the area up behind Kroger, this is not, it's not far, it's right in our community. They back up where that building is to the Metropolitan Housing and CDC and Company, low-income housing. It's eugenics. They pick low-income areas on purpose. So I find it very interesting that the CDC and that housing is where they try to put it in their back door. Also, please look to the City Council of Blacksburg, if you would. There used to be a Planned Parenthood in Blacksburg. I don't know if people knew that. And because of the Caring Pregnancy Center and citizens, they moved. They left. So maybe reaching out to them and asking them some of the tactics that were done to get that Planned Parenthood out of Blacksburg and away from those college students.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Well, thank you, folks, for your comments tonight. Gentlemen, did you want to say anything?
Well, again, I heard you say, that it backs up to that, but however, that's because it's the land use and the zoning is what that building was zoned for back in when the Penningtons put their Pennington Crown and Bridge there to make teeth. So it had to be zoned for medical. So then they moved and another medical drug testing facility moved in there and it's still zoned medical. So therefore, this clinic, again, whatever they do, rumored is they do what you say they do, but can't ask, can't tell, they can't. Legally, they don't have to disclose that. So, and legally, we can't ask. So, yeah. So, but I don't know if that's the reason that building is there and what it was formerly used for. The town didn't do that to do, for this clinic to come here. However, I was working at my job on Friday and I got a call from a sweet older lady now, Ann Russell. And, it was the first I'd heard about it. We don't hear about businesses that come to Benton unless it's a ribbon cutting or something like that. Businesses come and businesses leave out of Benton every single day. So, we didn't know until Ann told me about it. So, and we jumped right on it. She called Pete and, trying to figure out what this is. So appreciate you guys coming here and enlightening us. But, if there's anything we can do, definitely we will do. But, it has to be done legally. Can't just tell them no. It has to, or we get sued and we don't have a town anymore. So we're doing the best we can with the information that we have. So.
Like a special meeting if everyone in the future.
Concerning.
This.
Well, you can't change zoning ordinances just at a meeting,
You know. Be a little more prepared.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, sir.
Well, first off, I want to thank you for coming. Naturally, we are elected officials, and we do know past and of course future that we do have meetings like this, and there are hot button issues. As each and every one of you very well knows, this war has been battling for 52 years in this country. And yes, I echo what Councilman Lyle said. I echo, of course, definitely echo what the mayor said. And yes, my wife was one of the first flight nurses on Lifeguard 10. And when HIPAA came on the scene, she was part of the HIPAA committee with the crew. And of course, once I was apprised of this and started talking to her about that, of course, actually what Mr. Lyle says is exactly what she said. She said, I can tell you, these are the questions you can't ask. So legally, yes. are we in a position as elected officials with the town of Benton to legally or to through the court system take a company on like this? Possibly we could. However, if we lose, and then of course naturally the money that's involved with that. So I did hear tonight that there may be some steps we might be able to take. I'm open to those steps. Each and every one of you know, sitting here tonight, where this needs to go. It needs to leave this building and go to Richmond. And it's a simple vote in Richmond from the General Assembly to the Virginia Senate to the governor, and we won't have these meetings anymore. We won't have this one, Planned Parenthood. We won't have what if, like Mr. Lyle said, we don't know what they're going to do on 3rd Street. So, that's naturally, to me, the big game. That's not the little league, that's the major leagues. So, but once again, I'm open arms, open ears to listen to you. We are vetting this situation. We vetted it today. I've got a bunch of paperwork, naturally, as far as the zoning ordinances to read and those kind of things. So, I do thank you once again for coming. We all are online with our addresses or with our phone numbers. And if you need us, of course, give us a call. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Did you folks notice that the clerk didn't turn the clock on when these guys were talking? I don't know, sir.
I stayed under the 3 minutes. I didn't hear the buzzer that much.
You were waiting for a buzzer?
I was waiting on the buzzer.
Okay. No, seriously, folks, thank you for coming. Obviously, a very, very serious subject, and I think you know our hearts. And we learned tonight that maybe there is something we can do for the future project. So thank you. You are certainly welcome to stay. We're not offended if you leave, because now we're going to talk budget.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, folks. God bless.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.
See you. See you at Parkway, Ann.
Sorry I called you older woman now. Older woman now. See ya.
Congratulations. So, everybody go. Look, I know we like the crowd, but let's not do this again.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Here's something I athletic records 100 years ago.
Really? Yeah.
I remember. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, business. The budget.
As we continue on with our council meeting this evening, we've come to the public hearing portion. This public hearing will be concerning the proposed amendment to the Town of Benton's 23-24 budget. And as per usual, we will open the public hearing, and let me officially open the public hearing, and we will start with a report from staff. Cody, you are up, buddy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As has been the case over the last few years, June has become a busy month for estimating projected revenues for the year end, and we've been blessed in the town over the past couple of years as through conservative budgeting practices and watching the market and just natural growth that has been occurring in the town. You will know, as we just adopted our budget, we are projecting revenues for the next year during this time. So we did that this time last year. And so the good news is that a number of our major revenue streams are running surpluses as of year-end approaches. So what you have before you tonight is a series of budget transfers and appropriations that utilize or identify and utilize those budget surpluses for identified projects. So the total total amount is $1.5 million approximately, which is significant. Of that 1.5 million, approximately 1.3 represents surplus revenue over and above what was estimated this time last year for the FY24 budget. So those are listed in detail in your agenda packet, but those numbers, just to clarify, that are listed in the agenda packet are additions to the budget. So for example, I'll take real estate. Real estate is budgeted currently in fiscal year 24 for approximately $400,000. This would add $65,000 onto it to reflect what has been actually collected. So as you look at those numbers, this is based on projected year-end revenues. The one exception to that is the line for reappropriated fund balance, where we have had some surplus revenues that have not been used in years past, so have generated fund balance. We've also had some one-time monies that have come in, and so we are utilizing about $237,000 of fund balance to cover some one-time projects. So very briefly, those projects fall into three broad categories. Half of the $1.5 million is for paving. So we had budgeted approximately $1 million for paving. That was the annual paving that we do in the neighborhood streets. So that was in Niagara, Clearview, Lauderdale neighborhoods this year and on Augusta. The extra $780,000 are for one-off opportunity projects such as East Cleveland Avenue, around the Farmers Market, Walnut Avenue, 4th Street, and 8th Street. Most of these have followed on the back of other projects, especially utility projects. Approximately $360,000 of the money is for salaries and wages and additional fringe benefits. These are for mid-year adjustments to salaries, new hires coming in higher than where they were replaced, some promotions, some other movements around. And so these are sort of truing up where we've been for this past year. I will note that these new salaries and fringes, were built into the balanced base budget for FY25. So it is these numbers are sustainable moving forward. This is just a true up from the previous year. And then the remaining approximately $400,000 were for one-time projects and maintenance and repairs of equipment and buildings, maintenance service contracts, and materials and supplies related to those projects. Maintenance and repairs of equipment and buildings are some of the hardest numbers to budget. If your air conditioning breaks, you fix it. Or if your backhoe breaks, you fix it. So this is just cleaning up that. As I say every year around this time, we are in an excellent financial position. It is great to have these revenues running where they're at. And I would be remiss to not thank our department heads and the rest of staff who not only do the revenues run well, but they use the money prudently throughout the year. We do not have sort of a rush to spend money at the end of the year. If they need it, they spend it. If they don't, they give it back. That helps keep the town in a very sustainable position. So everyone really does their part, and I can attest that this is getting us to a very good spot moving forward. So if you have any additional questions, be happy to answer them. Otherwise, turn it over.
Okay, thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate that. Of course, we won't ask for public comments. Randy, you're the public, so. Pardon?
Oh, you guys come out there, Birmingham.
Yeah, really.
Mr. Mayor, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to make just a couple of comments on this. Cody's done an excellent job to explain this, and I appreciate his attention to this, and as well as Andrew's throughout the year. And I wanted to just discuss some of the larger purchases and remind council that while these actions are a true up at this point of the fiscal year, particularly the larger items. These are all items that we've discussed with you previously. So in real time, as those decisions are being made, like unfreezing two frozen positions previously, we did come back to you as the salary adjustments, some of the larger paving projects. Just want to remind council that we didn't make these decisions on our own or in a vacuum. These were all endorsed by council at some variation through a public work committee, perhaps through one-on-one conversations. So I just wanted to highlight that this is a big number, and we wouldn't make these type of decisions without consultation from council. And I appreciate your support throughout the year. I don't know of other councils and boards that would have that level of trust and support and some of the decisions that are being made. So I appreciate that. But as Cody said, I think our department heads are doing a really good job. And as our economy continues to do well, we budget conservatively, but as revenues do exceed expectations, it's great to have that flexibility and willingness of council to help us in real time throughout the budget year make adjustments, because it does expedite these projects from happening and not having to wait till the next fiscal year to, take advantage of opportunities with the Water Authority to do additional paving projects, or in a grant that we received or been awarded a number of years in advance. And when you get to the actual project, it becomes a reality that you didn't think about, or you didn't think was possible, or a need 3 or 4 years ago. But when you're actually doing the construction, or you have those opportunities come along, it's great to have that level of support and buy-in from council that if the revenues are there, that you're going to support the project, and as long as it's a good value and good public service. So I appreciate that support. But I did just want to add that extra comment that there may be a few smaller purchases on here that we made some discretionary calls on, but by and large, all of these projects were in some way, shape, or form discussed with council prior to those decisions being made. So beyond that, just happy to answer any questions, and I'm sure Cody and Andrew could do as well.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Pete. Council, you have any questions or any discussion?
I do not.
Well, I'd just like to briefly follow up, because both of you have mentioned the staff doing a good job, and that they certainly do. We appreciate the staff and the fact that just to be blunt, that they don't take advantage of the situation, and they always have approached our budget in a professional manner. And Peter, I appreciate your comments too. Obviously, these are important items, and I'm just so glad that we've been blessed enough to complete these items this year. I think this council does, in fact, trust our staff because they are trustworthy. You guys do a great job, and so just a good time for me to try to express how much I appreciate the job you guys do, not only on the budget, but on so many things throughout the year. So we do trust you, but just don't mess up. No, I'm going to. We got a great staff, and I appreciate you guys so much. If there's no further discussion, I will close the public hearing. I'm sorry, excuse me, folks. Council, you have before you a resolution that would amend the Town of Vinton's 2023-2024 budget, as we've heard described here this evening. Is there a motion
to adopt?
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lyles, second by Vice Mayor Stovall. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles?
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty? Councilmember Mullins? Vice Mayor Stovall?
Yes.
Mayor Gross?
Yes. And resolution passes. All right, for some of the items we have require action. Of course, there's a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute an agreement with the Vinton Historical Society.
Yes, sir. It's hard to imagine that it's been 5 years since we first entered into this relationship with the Vinton Historical Society. We had a very successful lease arrangement with the Historical Society for many years, but this collaboration agreement really spells out some of the operation partnerships that we have developed with the Historical Society. So We have the pleasure, the president, Mr. Randy Lehman, in the audience tonight. Randy and his board has had an opportunity to look over the document once again and offer any edits, and as well as our attorney. And I don't think we had any edits other than maybe modifying the dates.
So I think we.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I think it's working really well. Our relationship has never been stronger in my mind, at least since I've been here, and I appreciate what all the Historical Society does in the operation of the museum. I would respectfully request that we authorize the collaboration agreement for another 1-year term with 4 1-year renewals, and hopefully we'll be back here another 5 years to re-up once again.
I hope so. I hope to be here. Thank you very much for those comments. Council, comments, questions? Nope. Hearing no questions, then we will entertain a motion for approval of the resolution as we've heard described concerning the Vinton Historical Society.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Stovall, second by Councilman Lyles. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles,
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty, Councilmember Mullins, Vice Mayor Stovall,
Yes.
Mayor Gross.
Yes. Randy, just briefly, I will say I really appreciate the job you guys are doing up there. A lot of activities, a lot of good things. That place is awesome. So thank you.
I didn't read.
Well, it gives me another opportunity to thank the town. The town generally, also staff. Directly and council. But Rena and Lori, thanks to them as well.
How's the fundraising going?
We are, as the kid, I've been down Breast Island, but we were at 23,726 in, because of Asher City. And we had some folks for some other very substantial.
Sure.
We've also resubmitted the community fund that can essentially put us aside until they saw what we were doing. I think we've demonstrated that we're serious. Like we're
And the goal 60, is that right? Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And please pass along our appreciation to all your folks up there. Thank you. All right, next one is another resolution. You want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it verbatim, but I can summarize. As you recall, we had some conversations between our chief of police and the Commonwealth Attorney, Brian Holohan, about our relationship. The Commonwealth Attorney is under state code required to represent our town on certain felonies and I think some class 3 misdemeanors. But however, our fines and forfeiture type, not forfeiture, I'm sorry, our fines and local ordinances that he is not obligated to represent us on. However, it's obviously under our best interest to have that single source within the courtroom providing that representation. It makes it seamless for the police officers, the folks in the court, and so that compensation that we've provided to the Commonwealth Attorney has not kept up over the years. We have, I don't recall the exact year that we entered into that agreement, but our annual compensation has lagged behind. And so we had a number of conversations, and fortunately he was very gracious in working with us to provide something that we could sustain over the next couple of years to grow to an acceptable rate for additional compensation. And so thanks to Jeremy for putting the agreement together and updating that number. But Mr. Holohan has agreed to those terms. And so I do have a resolution before you this evening. There is a gradual uptick in the support for that support. But this will be in effect as of July 1st. And I think the police department is certainly happy with it. Brian and his team seem happy with it. And so respectfully request that you authorize the resolution this evening, and we will get to signing the agreement.
Okay, thank you. Jeremy, did you want to say anything additional?
No, he covered it perfectly well. There are certain crimes or infractions, violations, if you will, that the Commonwealth Attorney is not required by state law to cover. And he is doing so pursuant to the terms of this agreement, which is frankly more cost effective for the town.
Okay.
And yeah, that's their sandbox. They know the criminal courts far better than I do. So much rather have them doing it.
It's their business, right?
Yes.
But we would certainly have confidence in Jeremy if he had to do it. But
That's what I was saying.
That's what you were.
Carol.
I've never been happier to hire another lawyer in my life.
Well, this is another one of those things that all of council has certainly seen before, and you've educated us on the situation, so I certainly understand that. Council, any questions, comments? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All right. This time the motion is by Councilman Lyles, second by Vice Mayor Stovall. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles.
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty, Councilmember Mullins, Vice Mayor Stovall,
Yes.
Mayor Gross.
Yes. All right, moving right along. So, Andrew, I understand you're going to talk about some write-offs, right?
Absolutely. So, as you all know, we're approaching the 2-year mark on the transfer of the utility system to the Western Virginia Water Authority. We have maintained our utility fund for the past 2 years to finish out some contractual obligations that were parts of that agreement. We have come to the point where those projects are complete. We have finished up what we agreed to do, and we are ready to close out our utility fund. So there are a couple things that need to be done there to finish that up. The first thing is going to be to write off the debt balances that are on those accounts. So that's something that we do every year, as you all probably remember. But this year we're going to be writing off the entirety of what's there so that we can remove balances from that account. So that's going to be the first part of what I'm asking. The second part is going to be moving the fund balance that's available there to the general fund. That will then be available for any general government use. And then lastly, just the authorization to close the utility fund as a whole, since we'll be out of the water and sewer business.
Okay. So this is the last action on this.
Yep, this is the last action. We were encouraged by our auditors to get this done by the closure of this month. And luckily, everything kind of outside of that scope has come together as far as a timeline that allows that. So, are there any questions that you all have?
All right, thank you, sir. If there are no questions, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Stovall, second by Councilman Lyles. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lyles.
Yes.
Councilmember McCarty, Councilmember Mullins, Vice Mayor Stovall,
Yes.
Gross.
Yes. Okay. As we move on down, did you say you're going to do the Finance Committee?
Yeah, so we are, there was a last minute cancellation that was going to cause us not to have a quorum for the Finance Committee. So we are basically rolling that agenda to the next committee on Monday, July 8th.
Okay. Sounds good. And so then we can go ahead and consider would that also include the financial statements or what?
Yeah, we'll carry those over as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, Community Development Committee, Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, sir. Normally, Andrew, listen to me, sorry, you're in my brain. Nathan McClung will be presenting us. He's the chair of the Community Development Committee meeting, but he's on vacation this week, so I offered to provide this update report. I appreciate Councilmember Lyles and McCarty being present for that. We had some great discussion that morning. I won't go into great detail, but please stop me if you have any questions about any of the items. First on the agenda that evening was actually the collaboration agreement with the Vinton Historical Society and the operation of the Vinton Museum. The Twin Creeks Brewing Company was the second item. As you know, we've discussed the matter of doing a loan forgiveness. They have about $10,000 in outstanding debt on 2 revolving loan programs that we entered in with them in 2015 and 2019. It is our desire to dissolve the loan program. It was a $100,000 provided to us by DHCD. We had a 5-year commitment to operate it as a loan fund, and then we have the opportunity at that point to move those funds into any program we see necessary. So through some discussions with the Community Development Committee, we actually had a special called meeting to discuss this item. Through some scheduling challenges, we ended up, it hadn't come before council before that date, which we intended it to, but so we discussed it again. But on July 2nd, we'll have an item to come before you to take official action to forgive the remaining balances of those loans.
Is that the money they owe us, that money?
They owe us it's about $10,000 over the 2 loans. What the subsequent performance agreement will probably come before council in August, and that will spell out the terms of what we're hoping to accomplish or what we're expecting to accomplish is some additional improvements by forgiving the loan. So just for very quickly, performance agreements we've done with businesses in town have been primarily about fixed assets that would remain with the property. So facade improvements, updates to infrastructure that, like water and sewer. There were 2 revolving loan program loans that we had with them were actually for brewing equipment. And so for example, if the brewery would ever to be closed, they could technically take that with them. So we give it to them in the form of a loan and actually place a lien on the piece of equipment. They've obviously done great things for the town. Provided a great meeting location and spurred a lot of additional development on and around their property. So the loan will not only forgive, the equipment, but it will free up some equity for them that they could then place into additional improvements on the physical building. So that's what would be forthcoming afterwards in the form of the performance agreement. So instead of having to pay us for money that was provided by the revolving loan program through DHCD, this allows them to take then that funds and to put it into other physical improvements. So that's the gist of it. We did provide the committee with a Gishmill redevelopment project update. We're actually using some EPA brownfield funds to do some design elements of the stabilization piece. So revolving loan doesn't allow you to do construction level detail, but the studies that are required to do the stabilization, basically we're building an internal skeleton of the structure to stabilize it throughout the renovation process. So some of that piece can be considered study, and so the EPA can pay for it as opposed to the private developer using actually development funds for that. So it's another way that we're helping try to buy down some of that cost. They are, I don't know where they stand, but over the last couple of weeks, they've actually been on the streets getting bids for some of the initial construction elements. So we do anticipate sometime, maybe July. That was the latest timeline that I'd heard, that we hope to have some construction actually going on at that facility. The Wesley redevelopment discussion, we had anticipated when we went to agenda distribution that we would have a proposal about the lead development. I had not received that at the time. I actually got it in my inbox today. I have not reviewed that due to some other actions that took precedent, but I do know for a fact that proposal is in my inbox today, and we have had some discussions about it, and I look forward to kind of looking that over and discussing it with the committee in the future. We talked about the Smart Scale Round 6 application. This is for the proposed roundabout at Washington and Bypass Road. So we will have before you on July 16th a resolution to support our Smart Scale application. So we just wanted to discuss that with the Development Committee. This will be, let's just say 2031 project if it was to be approved. So it's many years down the road. We will do a robust job of trying to educate the community when we do this resolution of support that this is not going to happen the next day, as some people thought when we did this for the Hardy Bypass project. So this is just to try to get the funding. And we anticipate this to be somewhere in excess of $22 million project if approved.
Wow.
And it would all be provided by state funds as Hardy Bypass is Walnut Phase 3 has been smart scale project. So very beneficial for us financially because we could never do this transportation enhancement without the state funds. We have architectural and engineering on-call contract. We actually received 32 proposals yesterday at the RFP deadline. So staff will be reviewing those over the next possibly 2 weeks, I would guess, with so many applicants. That's great that there's so much interest in those firms doing work with us. A lot of those we have relationships with, but this will certainly help us speed up the process of getting projects done and underway and having that specific engineering expertise. The community playground update, we did talk about that a little bit. We've done some renderings, which I've shared with each of town council members. We will be doing a briefing on that July 2nd. And because of the A&E contract, hopefully we can get the some of the ADA access designed and the curb and gutter work that we need to do the pour in place. So that's kind of the last piece is once we get that piece designed, then we can order playground equipment and have that installed. We feel like we're probably up against a deadline with the fall and the winter months. So don't know that we'll have the playground equipment installed this fall, but certainly by next spring, we feel very confident we can have this phase of the project underway. But we will be sharing some additional detail with public and council on July 2nd. Crosswalk project update, very briefly, they're 95% probably finished at Hardy Road. We're waiting on the flashing beacons to arrive, and there's some of the actual transition, ADA transition pieces that didn't pass inspection. And that's the wonderful thing about this process is that we have a contractor doing the work. We have a staff person, Jamie Hurt, who actually does that work, kind of manages that work. But then we also have a third party inspector that checks for those. So it's paid off, and we found that one of the ADA ramps wasn't constructed sufficiently, so we're having to redo it. They have actually mobilized to the Hardy Road, and I believe as of today, they've actually started putting some traffic control measures in place. So you'll see some activity over there. The difference between the two locations, because the traffic volumes and some of the work already being done over there, these barricades will stay in place throughout the entire duration. For Gus Nux Boulevard, particularly for the first couple of weeks, they were moving barrels from one lane to the other and picking up barrels in the evenings. These will primarily stay in place throughout the duration of the next 4 to 5 weeks. So we do anticipate that project being finished in early August and be wrapped up. And I think the one on Gus Nix has turned out really well. It looks good, and we have every expectation it will function well. Glade Creek Greenway Phase 2B, that project has been a long time project for us. And as you know, we had a water line that we discovered actually during the construction that was much more shallow than anyone expected. So we've had to done a couple workarounds to get that project done. But the water line has been lowered, and so they're back to finished grade now, and they're finishing up the project. And we believe that we'll having folks walking on that project by the end of the summer.
Awesome.
Benton 2050 comprehensive plan. I know each of you, as well as other members of council and planning commission, has spoke to our consultant. We have our first advisory committee meeting this Thursday, and we have a virtual option next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So we're moving on fairly quickly. It's been a good process so far. I've gotten to read a lot of your comments that you've made to the consultant. So it's exciting to kind of see what's taking shape so far. I know the consultants met with a couple of our regional partners and trying to get the baseline information there. And then we'll transition into not only advisory commission capacity, but also those other focus groups that we'll be creating to gain even more interest and involvement from our citizens and stakeholders. So off to a great start. Consulting's doing wonderful work. And then special programs provide an update. We are working on a collaboration agreement with the Chamber of Commerce. I did this speak with Vice Mayor, or not Vice Mayor, Councilmember McCarty last week, and then I've since forwarded that to a few of you for review and comment. So I would love to have your feedback on that, because you've all had different levels of experience with the Chamber of Commerce, and this dates back to our discussions back in January. We've got a great partnership with the Chamber. We want to more formalize some of our relationship so that future staff members and future chamber folks will understand what the relationship truly is and the level of support we're providing and what services they're required to do. So just spelling that out. Our hope is to have that later in July ready for council approval, but we have a number of rounds of reviews to go, so we'll see where that lands. We talked about events, but primarily we talked about the July 4th day. That's going to be a very busy day. We're going to have the 4 on the 4th run that morning. All the permits are secured. All that looks ready to go. I heard interview on WFR this morning promoting the event with our partners with the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Virginia. They were there, and I know Mandy's working on I think Monday next week she'll be meeting on I don't know the program, but it's the 4:00 show in the afternoon. Her and the Boys and Girls Club will be the primary guests on that, promoting the event. And then we have a new event this year in the middle, kind of toward the evening. One of our businesses, or potentially two of our businesses downtown, will be doing a kind of extended ABC license out into a public right of way to provide a different venue, which they can serve food and beverages as well. So we're going to be working with them to provide some assistance with road closure and potentially.
That's both of them, or just?
Right now, it looks like it's Pollard 107 would be using the public right of way. I also believe Pokey Joe's is doing something in their parking lot, so they won't be out in the right of way. We don't have our DORA in place, but they do have the ability to work with ABC to do an extended ABC license on their own terms. Particularly for 107, because it is in the public right of way, we would require them to provide off-duty officers, as we do for a Mingle, for example. So we've provided them with that information, and all the details of that are coming together. It's first time event, so still working through those, but I feel firm that we'll have that late afternoon. And then we'll have the traditional 4th of July Independence Day celebration that evening, 6 o'clock, fireworks at 7 or 9:30. And then we talked just briefly about the Ventnor Memorial renovation project. Back to the A&E on-call firm, we're having to hire some architects to do some structural analysis and some design level detail for us before that renovation project can get underway in January. So based on those design elements, we will apply for our necessary building permits, but also seek bids for our subcontractors. So this is an important step for us to kind of get that piece underway as well. So it was as always, every time we have this meeting, it's a very busy agenda, but it's all good items, and appreciate, there was a lot of discussion and a lot of healthy, conversation about these projects. And for those items that need council approval, we'll continue to, move those forward through the approval process. But so that's a pretty good meeting.
A busy committee.
Yep.
I wonder if we need the timer that you've been using.
Yeah. Keith, do you have anything to add? I mean,
No, we had this, and then we went into a whole different discussion for another 30 minutes about something else, but it didn't make the list, so save that one for next time.
You're more than welcome to bring it up if you'd like.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
All right. We'll look forward to that. Okay, well, thank you very much for that extensive report.
It was a good meeting, though.
Yeah, seriously sounds great. Yeah. Next item's town attorney. Jeremy, I don't see anything listed, and you don't have a title for me to comment about, but it's good to see you.
You got a text message.
He got the message, and then Pete messed it up.
Yeah, but
Pete not only put the title, he put the coat on.
I've never been here outdressed by Pete, so now.
The image of the person on the other end of the phone that everyone talked to this week.
Yeah, exactly. We may have to have that recorded in a minute. Oh, my goodness. All right. Thank you, folks, for that. We will, Town Manager's Project update.
We've got a very couple of quick comments. I know it's been a while, but obviously Mountain View Road started this week, got underway, took a tour of it today. I noticed how dusty Mike Stovall's house is, so.
And the hole.
We needed to order some rain.
You know about the hole?
Yes, I know about the hole.
The big hole.
It's a big hole. So, but you know, with a couple of surprises aside, I think the project's going pretty well. And I actually saw a helpful, our assistant over there providing some good updates from social media, keeping us apprised of what the citizens are saying about the project, but primarily positive. But so far, so good. I think it's going, you know, as well as we could have hoped for. I said there have been a few surprises, but so far, so good. The Niagara Road project, just wanted to briefly update that. There are actually 2 road closures on Niagara Road after we just closed it. We have the one that's up on the upper end by Long John Silver's, not quite, but up on the upper end by Rosie's cut through, where we had the sewer line failure. And we made some alterations to the detour.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I think that seems to be working okay. Appreciate that, guidance to seek that out. So we've made that adjustment. Still don't know how long that section of the road will be closed. That's a pretty difficult project. The sewer line is as deep as 40 feet in that particular section. So they are doing a pump around at the present time while they're doing the redesign and reconstructing the new sewer line outside of the public right of way. So long term, I think it'll be a good project for us. And, it's just a temporary inconvenience for sure. And then separately, but on the same road, we had a sinkhole develop a little bit further down, closer to Wyndham, the intersection with Wyndham. And so a road detour was set up on another detour just the other day, and then they were planning to be on site today to actually start, and they actually did.
They cut and dug it out.
And they should have been done, but then we had that surprise that Mr. Stovall was mentioning up by his house. And so the crews pulled off and scattered to get some equipment and to get some materials to correct the project on Mountain View while the road is under construction, because we didn't want to have to dig it up after the fact. So they will hopefully be back on site. They're actually going to work tomorrow on the holiday to complete the work on Mountain View. So it is potential that they could be back as early as Thursday or Friday back on Niagara Road and get that project finished. It's a fairly straightforward project on Niagara, but it is going to take some time. So we've made the necessary Facebook posts and that sort of thing. So, asking for some forgiveness and some patience from our citizens. Sorry for all the inconveniences. But it's in some cases necessary, in other cases it's progress. So those are really the only items that I wanted to update you on, because I know they're of great impact and importance in the town. And obviously the crowd we've had this evening has occupied a lot of staff time since we learned about the situation last Thursday. Most folks have been gracious and listening to us. And so anyways, we'll get through it.
Hey, you betcha. All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that update. Council, up to you now. Councilman Watt?
Yeah, not a whole lot, just, looking forward to, our awesome town celebration for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
It gets better and better every year, so I'm anxious to see what this one does, and welcome the crowd to that.
You bet.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor?
Well, the first thing went through my mind this afternoon when I left the meeting to go home to change was, I'm going to a council meeting tonight with golf shorts on and a summer shirt. Because they come out of my driveway and hang out. That's the longest stretch. It's a cut. And so you go around the other way and it's, you can get right in the driveway. Well, I rounded the curve, 2 road closed signs, like, this ain't good. So I went between the two roads, closed sign, pulled up, and there's Bo standing in the middle of Mountain View Road. I'm thinking, what's he doing? So I pulled up beside him, rolled the window down. I said, you in the paving business now? He said, no, get out, let me show you something. So right there in front of my house, there's a drain. And I guess it was the roller. I think that's what he said. But anyway, the roller's going down Mountain View to roll out what they'd already done and sunk it. Well, it didn't sink it, but the front of the roller.
Wow.
Yeah, crushed it. And big old hole. So anyway, they moved some equipment. If you know, I got a bank in front of my yard, so I just drove up the bank and went to the house. So, but yeah, I'll make it publicly known, I'm not washing citizens' cars. I was asked that question this morning by a citizen if I'd wash her car, and I said, no, ma'am.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
said, I don't wash my wife's car. I said, I pay her. I would pay for her to get it done. So, yeah, and we're going to get roads closed. How long it's going to be closed? I did see one of the neighbors of the Meadows that I did vote today. And, yeah, they bought that. I didn't see it over, they didn't have one of these over Mount Pleasant, but it had teeth on the roller about that big, and it was covered with them, and it was shaking. I mean, it was shaking our houses, and so
Good
she had
grief.
pictures fall off the wall, and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's progress. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that's part of that process where they tear up the old part.
Yeah, but now this thing, but the thing with the teeth, had the whole road, but it had divots in the road about that big, square. And I guess that broke the dirt up, and then they went back after they milled it. They milled it yesterday. Then they went back and rolled the dirt back out and packed it down. When we got over to Mount Pleasant that morning, remember how packed the road was?
Yeah.
They did that, and that's where the roller came into play when he busted the pipe.
It's a big roller.
That's big pipe, big hole. Yeah.
Good grief. Run into all kinds of things. But I do think we'll have a good finished product. I think the finished product will be good.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited about that. And I know a lot of people will be happy to see Mountain View Road repaired and back to normal. Actually, even better than normal. Just briefly, I want to mention a couple of things. The Roanoke Regional Partnership Board of Directors had a meeting on June 6th at the Benton War Memorial, and really nice comments, primarily about the staff. Staff did a great job, and they were very complimentary of our staff. Vice Mayor Stovall and Pete and Cody and I, as you mentioned earlier, attended the Small Towns Conference in Abington. And I found it very interesting and informative. But the biggest thing that struck me is, this was sponsored by VML, and they wanted, the way I took it, to make sure that towns had all the people in place that they should have, such as economic development, attorneys and stuff like that. And honest to goodness, everything they mentioned we already had. Didn't you think?
I did.
I mean, we were in good shape. So it was a good conference. It was just good to know that we were in that good shape. And then just very quickly, we all know there's a lot going on in town, a lot of road construction and paving. Some of the stuff is planned, some of it not. So we just appreciate everyone's patience. There's a lot going on, but it will all lead to obviously a better roads and better facilities in the end. So, all right. Anything further to come before council this evening? Nope. Hearing nothing else. Since there is nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by leaving. Thank you, folks. God bless you.
She's got him 55, 45 right now.
Hey, I just